Good evening and welcome to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm meteorologist Ron Childers. Wow, what a day. The Mid-South blanketed in a combination of sleet and snow, as we'd expected it would be, but the threat for freezing rain hasn't come to an end at all. We're going to take some time tonight, roll through a few things that we have to show you and some weather information. Plus, we've still got reporters out in the field to bring you some live reports. We're going to hear from Garner Montgomery, who's down in Oxford. They could be right in the bullseye for freezing rain coming into play tonight. Amani Williams is down in Clarksdale. We'll hear from her in just a moment. And we're here on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We are on the Action News 5 app on Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Roku. If you don't have the Action News 5 app on those streaming devices, search the App Store there, download it. It's free. You can also watch us on the Action News 5 weather app and news app. And for any areas that may lose power, having that app on your streaming service is going to be a great tool to have because you'll be able to watch our continuing coverage right there. Let's bring you up to speed on what's going on right now. We've got a winter storm warning that remains in effect until 6 p.m. Sunday. Memphis, Shelby County, all of eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee. We've seen this map not budge at all since it was issued on Friday. Ice storm warning in place for areas along the Tennessee River Valley. Hardeman and McNairy counties in the Action News 5 coverage area included in this, and it extends well into northern Mississippi. And look, Clarksdale, Tunica, Hernando, you're not in the ice storm warning, but you are very close to where we could see some freezing rain develop as we get into the overnight hours. Certainly cold enough to support it. Temperature tonight is going to fall to 17 degrees. We got a 90% chance of a wintry mix coming into play. I'm hopeful and somewhat confident that the majority of the Mid-South is going to see sleet for the most part. That includes Memphis and Shelby County, but we can't completely rule it out. So here's what we know right now. We've got a brief lull for many around the area, but another round moves in tonight. The freezing rain threat increases as a result, and then bitter cold will follow. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Available liquid, that's how much moisture is still in the atmosphere that will be squeezed out by this system. We're looking at close to an inch, right around a half an inch to an inch for most areas. Memphis on track to pick up about another 0.6. This is from the American forecast model, also known as the GFS model. So we've seen a good amount of precipitation, about 2 inches of sleet and snow here in Memphis, but we could pick up an additional half an inch. And look, if that half inch comes down as freezing rain, that's going to create some big problems. But if that half inch comes down as all sleet, I think that's going to be great for our power outage situation or the lack of power outages. So that will help greatly there, as that sleet will primarily collect on the ground, but it's going to keep travel treacherous through the night, through the day tomorrow, and I think for several days to come. Jacob Gallant's alongside with me tonight. He's our digital desk manager. He's going to be operating the ship here. I don't know how any of this stuff works, but he's also going to be the moderator. If you've got questions and you're watching on Facebook, be sure to just enter them in the comments. We'll get to them and answer as many as we possibly can. We've got reporters out in the field, as I mentioned. We're going to be checking in with them in just a moment. But let's talk a little more about what's coming our way, because we did inch up that quarter to half inch line to a little farther into Shelby County, more as just precautionary element. But I think the majority of what will fall in Memphis and really for much of West Tennessee, eastern Arkansas, will primarily be in the form of sleet. And again, sleet hits the ground, causes problems with travel, but it doesn't bring down power lines. And something to keep in mind, about a half an inch of ice on a power line is equivalent to 1,000 pounds. You get an inch, that's 2,000 pounds. Those lines are going to fall under that. And we've already seen icing on some trees in that area that are close to an inch. So we're going to watch it very, very closely in the coming hours. And really from about midnight tonight until 8 in the morning, that's going to be our window for freezing rain, additional sleet, and then should move out as we get on into the afternoon hours on Sunday. So let's run through it right now, shall we? Winds have been an issue today, but they're starting to diminish a bit, at least in some areas. We've had about a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind in Memphis today. Now it's down to 10 miles per hour. Single-digit winds just to the east and across much of northern Mississippi, but still breezy along the Mississippi River with winds of 10 to 15 miles per hour. Those winds make it feel colder than it actually is. As a matter of fact, a feels like temp of -4 in Wynne, Arkansas. Blytheville feels like 0, 2 in Dyersburg, 5 in Memphis. Oxford feels like it's 20 with an actual air temperature of 27. Now, it feels like 5 in Memphis, but the air temperature is 17. So the wind chill is basically a calculation to show you what it would feel like on your skin with the wind. So exposed skin, even though the air temperature is 17, your hands, your face, it feels closer to 5 with that wind blowing that colder air at you. Kim Clark did a live shot today from the hill in Bartlett where a lot of sledding was going on. The moment she turned around towards the camera and into the wind, she said she could feel the noticeable difference in just that bitter cold that's gripping the Mid-South. So that's what we've got right there. I'm going to come back. We're going to talk more about what's moving in tonight, but I want to talk about what's already come through. I think Amani Williams is standing by down in Clarksdale, Mississippi, and we're going to check in with her right now and find out what she's seeing, what she's been through, and get a little taste of what she thinks coming their way tonight. Amani, how you doing down there?
You know, Ron, it is still cold out here. I'm not sure if it's precipitation coming down or if it's just all of the sleet and snow that's on the ground that's kind of like dusting up in my face because it's so windy out here. But it is so icy. I have somebody over here. They just drove up. I'm in the Walmart parking lot, and he's been driving around. Tell me, how has the conditions been since you've been driving around?
It's been a little rough, but nah, it ain't too bad. You know what I'm saying? It's not too bad, but it's been a little rough, though.
And, I mean, it's a lot of people out. You coming to Walmart. Did you not get everything you needed before the snow came in?
Nah, I'm bringing my partner to Walmart, so he need to get some stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's why we here.
So are you glad it's open? Because they could have been closed and you wouldn't have been able to get your stuff.
I guess so. He is glad. He better be glad.
Okay, well, you be safe out here. Okay, so you see, everybody didn't get everything they needed before the snow came. We see right here in Clarksdale, a couple people are still needing to go to Walmart to get their things. And honestly, the parking lot has been pretty full all day. So if you are in this area, you know that the Walmart is open. But like I said, the roads are starting to get icy. I had to put my snow pants on. I haven't worn them all day. But as the sun is no longer here, now it is time to throw on the snow pants because it's cold and it's getting icy on the roads, Ron.
And Amani, right now, you mentioned the wind down there having a big impact. Currently in Clarksdale, we're looking at a feels-like temperature of 3 degrees coming at you. So the and the wind speeds, Monty, down around Clarksdale, the wind speeds right now are right around 10 to 15 miles per hour. As a matter of fact, you've got a 16-mile-an-hour wind. So I think it's probably kicking up some of the snow and sleet that's on the ground right now, and that's what you're feeling. But let me ask you a question. Does it look like it's more of a dry snow, or does it look like it's more of sleet?
It's very dry, super, super dry. It hasn't been mushy or wet at all today. It has been super dry, and I feel like that may be making it a little bit more compact because a lot of people have been driving around here, and so the snow or the ice being already dry as soon as it hits the ground, and when people drive, it's just making it compact to the ground right now.
Wow, so we've seen that first round come on through there in Clarksdale, Amani, and now second round is going to move through tonight. So we'll check back in with you later in the evening hours, but in the meantime, why don't you go in somewhere nice, warm, hang out for a little bit, and get out of the cold. Thank you for that report from Clarksdale.
Right.
Amani Williams. Can't believe people are still out and about down there, especially given all the snow and sleet that's on the ground. As you can see, it was covered down there in Clarksdale and Coahoma County. So we were looking at the winds, we were looking at the wind chills across that area. And again, as I mentioned, it feels like it's 3 degrees down in Clarksdale. Temperature 17 degrees there, 20s for much of northern Mississippi, but it doesn't matter how you put it, it's still cold. From now until about 8 o'clock, I think we're going to see another round developing in the area. Futurecast seemingly just a bit, but I still think it's got a good handle and placement on the precipitation type. So I want to run through this. Notice that area that's to the right of your screen that's in green. That's right behind me there, and over the Action News 5, or just under the Action News 5 logo, it's green. That's rain. That is liquid precipitation that is going to fall from the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere through a very shallow layer of below freezing temperatures at the surface. That is going to bring into play freezing rain. But it looks like the focus of this is shifting a little farther east. Now, we can't rule out the potential for it to increase, especially from Selmer through Corinth down to Ripley and Oxford, but I'm very hopeful by what I've been seeing just in the last couple of hours with precipitation and the track of the low pressure center that's driving all this. We'll talk more about that coming up as the evening progresses. And as we get into the overnight hours, from around midnight until 8 in the morning, I think we're still going to be dealing with primarily sleet. All that area you see there in pink. But temperatures, they're going to be cold. 19 in Dyersburg by 8 in the morning, 20 in Memphis. We'll be in the low to mid-20s across a good portion of northern Mississippi. Eastern Arkansas, mid and upper teens for you when you're waking up in the morning. And there may be some snow around northeast Arkansas, Missouri Boot Heel, and northwest Tennessee. But by noon, the bulk of that precipitation starts to push on out of here, and a drier air mass will move in, but also a much colder one as well. We're looking at overnight lows tomorrow night in the single digits for the Action News 5 coverage area. They'll start to fall as we get after midnight. So planning your day tomorrow, the better chance of precipitation, about 100%. And I rarely go 100%. I do. I just rarely do it simply because it was one of those things I learned from Dave Brown many years ago. You know, 90% chances, pretty significant that there's going to be some sort of precipitation occurring. But I've gone 100 before and then have nothing happen. And that's all it takes is to get burned on that one time. So I usually hover around 90%. But look, I'm 100% certain that at 7 in the morning, we are going to have precipitation in the area. The big question is what type. Right now, I'm about 90% certain that it's going to be sleet. So yeah, the certainty of the uncertainty. How's that? All right. Anyway, that's the way meteorology works. But the main theme is we get it out of here by early in the day tomorrow, and we'll get some clearing, or at least a drier pattern to emerge as we get to Sunday night. So the high tomorrow, I think, is only going to hit 20. Wintry mix coming into play. We'll have clouds, cold temperatures. Now, some snow showers are likely going to linger as well. That cold air has a tremendous ability to just extract moisture from the atmosphere and just squeeze out any remaining ice crystals that may be in play. So we're going to be dealing with cold temperatures through the day, and it's going to feel even colder. As a matter of fact, we're looking at feels like temperatures tomorrow, single digits, 7 to 8. That's what it's going to feel like for most of the day tomorrow. So get ready for that. Extreme cold warning is going to go into effect beginning at 6 p.m. on Sunday and remain until midday Tuesday. So we are going to be dealing with bitter, bitter cold. That's why I want you to get the app, the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. I want you to put it on your smartphone or your tablet. It's free for Apple and Android products, and it's a great tool to have. So get the app, the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. And by the way, that was the one app that did not tell you you were going to get 30 inches of snow out of it. So the First Alert Weather app. I want to bring Kim Clark in here right now. You had fun today.
I did. I got the sled.
But it was cold, too. As a matter of fact,
Very,
I mentioned
very
you
cold.
a moment ago when you turned towards the camera and that wind hit you in the face. You could feel it, huh?
Yeah, it was. See, it still takes my breath away.
It does. It just grips you. And Kim just walked in the door. I said,
Yeah.
come on over. I want to talk to you about it. So how was it out there?
The roads are getting worse.
Yeah.
They weren't so bad earlier. I mean, they were drivable as long as you took your time. There were a lot of people zipping on through and making it fine, but that was before stuff started refreezing, and I think there's some sort of liquid precipitation falling a little bit because I know our
Looks like a
windshield.
little rain mixing in.
We couldn't get the windshield completely clean on the drive back, and it's getting really tricky out there.
So that next round getting poised to move
Yeah.
in. Now tell everybody where you were for those of you who
I was at Mount Bartlett. With the sledders.
I've never heard of that.
I hadn't either. And I've been here for 30-some years. I'd never heard of it. But apparently that's the place to be when there's a snow day in Bartlett. You go there. It's on both sides of the road. The city even came in and smoothed out the roads for everybody to make sure, the hills for everybody to make sure that it wasn't too bumpy of a ride. I even went down it.
Wait, you did it?
Yeah, I did.
Went in the sled?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
It was fun. It was scary initially.
I bet it was.
I was like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? But it was fun. I had a ball.
And a lot of people out there.
A lot.
That's great. Well, now you're back in a nice, warm building. But for anybody who may think about venturing out, what do you got for them?
Don't. If you don't have to, do not. Stay home. Fix yourself a nice hot toddy or something, or something good to eat, and just turn on your TV, watch Ron and them, or a great movie or something. But stay off the roads. It's getting dicey out there, and there are ruts now. For me.
Yeah, and I think, Kim, we're going to see that stick around. We're going to have these ice trenches that have been created by traffic.
I look like Nanak of the North with all this stuff on. I'm about to burn up.
But she's in layers. So if you do have to get out, even if you're just going out to play in your yard, bundle up.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, it's good to see you. I'm glad you got back safe and sound.
It's good to be inside.
And you got a sled ride.
I did.
That's awesome.
I'll do it again next year.
Next
Maybe.
Exactly. Kim Clark, thank you for that report. We certainly appreciate it. So, yeah, there you have it. Cold indeed around the area, and that cold's not going anywhere anytime soon. As a matter of fact, let's talk a little more about that. I want to show you the 10-day forecast. Check this out. We're going to fall to 6 degrees tomorrow night. A single-digit low. Will likely have wind chills below zero for much of the area. Then Monday, sun is out. Full day of sunshine for the most part, but a high of only 20. This Arctic cold coming out of the northern tier of the U.S., southern Canada, that's just going to grip the Mid-South all week long. So we are going to wrap up the month of January with bitter cold. We'll fall to 10 Monday night. Then Tuesday, a high of 30. And by the way, Monday's a first alert weather day as well because of the excessive cold. An extreme cold warning will go into effect on at 6 p.m. Sunday, and that bitter cold sticks around through the early morning hours of Tuesday. Now, we're looking for a high Tuesday of 30 degrees, but then Tuesday night, 20, the overnight low. And then for Wednesday, 33, mostly sunny, but another shot of cold air moves in to end next week. That puts temperatures back in the upper range of the 20s for next Friday, Saturday. And there could be a few snow flurries or snow showers coming into play as we get into Friday, Saturday of next week. Right now, about a 20% chance, but we're going to be watching it very closely, and we will wrap up the month of January and begin the month of February with cold, cold temperatures. So that's what we're looking at as far as conditions go outdoors, as far as the weather right now. I think we have Garner Montgomery's. He's standing by. Garner's down in Oxford, Mississippi.
Looks like they're gonna.
He's been there all day long. And Garner, we got a report, someone posted on the National Weather Service chat site about a ½ an inch of ice that had accumulated on tree branches down there. I'm not sure, I think they were near Oxford in Lafayette County, but what has been your observation down there so far?
I don't know if I can confirm that exact measurement of ½ an inch, but I'm inclined to believe it because I've seen power lines and branches as we've been traveling through Oxford today, over the course of the day, you can even see in this tree, this is just a little decorative tree outside the local Mexican restaurant, but you can see this layer of ice. It's not a half inch quite yet, but I would say that's about maybe 3/8 of an inch at this point, and that's going to be the issue for the power line tonight. It's not much freezing rain right now. It's actually, we're experiencing a lull here in Oxford. It's been the lightest that it's been all day, but it's supposed to get worse over the course of the night. Maybe in the next hour or so, it's going to get heavier. So more and more ice is going to accumulate, and that's going to weigh down on these branches until some in Oxford are going to snap down, maybe break a power line. And the power lines themselves, they're also covered in this thick layer of ice right now. I've seen it when we were traveling up Old Taylor Road in South Lafayette County. That's one of the regions in our area that's being hit the hardest right now, is at most risk for power outages. But pretty much anywhere here in Lafayette County and in our surrounding area is going to be at risk for these power outages, because I've seen it firsthand just driving through that this layer is on pretty much everything still standing here in Lafayette County, on all the street signs, on all anything else that is standing out in the open like this. Honestly, if we didn't get time to go inside and take a little break, I'd probably be covered in a layer of ice at this point, but I'm kind of enjoying it out here.
I see it gathering on your coat already. Now, what's coming down there? Is it in liquid form right now, or is it more ice pellets, sleet? What do you see?
It's more. It was freezing rain until just about a moment ago. It really is something in between. Like, we saw ice pellets very, very early on in the day. That transitioned into very, very cold rain, freezing rain, essentially. This is kind of somewhere in the middle. It's very, very light right now. Honestly, it's hitting my face and it's not bothering me that much. I would say it's very, very tiny, tiny, tiny ice pellets that is pretty moist, but you can see it's accumulated a lot on me so far, and it's going to continue and get stronger over the course of the next hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Garner,
What's that?
What about travel in that area? What is it? How is it getting around down there in Oxford and Lafayette County?
Well, I have to commend the city of Oxford and street departments for trying their best to clear as much of the roundabouts and major thoroughfares as they can. You can see behind me, this roundabout has been cleared so far. Of course, don't feel too comfortable, because the city of Oxford has been doing a commendable job of clearing these roads, but that doesn't mean that it's going to stay this way. It's going to ice over again tonight. I talked with the Emergency Management Public Information Officer Bo Moore earlier, and he said that this is great. They've been doing a great job, but it's not going to last like this. So travel conditions have been, for the most part, very, very I can't say the word safe, but very manageable for people who have to travel. The city of Oxford has been doing their part to make sure that any roadways are going to be as clear as they can possibly be.
Yeah, and I tell you, I'm watching the cars behind you that are driving. It looks like liquid on the streets there, so some melting is occurring. But let's talk about power outages. With that ice that's gathered on the trees there was a report of some power outages right around Highway 7, Highway 9 split. Any issues with power where you've been around down in Oxford today?
So far, that's not been the case. We saw one down line. It wasn't a power line, it was a fiber line, but Mother Nature can't tell the difference. It still was hanging off of a utility pole and came down in South Lafayette County. That was just the one incident that Bo Moore had shared with us earlier today, but there is a high likelihood that there's going to be more to come, especially as this keeps coming down.
Hey, Garner, a couple of communities, well, Covington comes to mind. They're implementing curfews tonight. As a matter of fact, a curfew in effect now until 6 a.m. Sunday morning, and another from 6 tomorrow evening till 6 a.m. Monday. Have officials down in Lafayette County or Oxford talked about the potential of issuing curfews?
That's a good question to ask. I haven't checked in with them, but looks like college students, I saw some just walk out of Waffle House earlier, still trying to take advantage of this time. But I can imagine that would be a pretty smart idea if I were a city official at this point, but I'd have to check in with them. So that's not something I've confirmed at this time.
Yeah, the kids at the Waffle House, I love hearing that. The college and Waffle Houses just go together. Ole Miss has canceled classes already for Monday. Any indication they may extend that?
You're going to have to repeat the last part of that question. Ole Miss students had their classes canceled. What else were you asking?
For Monday, so the classes down at Ole Miss are canceled for Monday, and they did that yesterday. They went ahead and just got proactive on it. Has there been any discussion, or have you heard anything about possibly extending that? Because, Garner, what's on the ground right now where you are, I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, that has been the big concern. I think right now Monday is the precaution, but city officials have told me that an extension is possible, is likely, expecting me to stay here at least until Tuesday. That's something that I was warned about ahead of coming down to Oxford. So that's entirely likely. And I think Tuesday is the date when they're hoping that there is enough rise in the temperatures that there will be safe travel, but that could come back down and may not be enough time. So that could be extended to longer than Monday. Absolutely.
Hey, man, you've done a great job down there, and I know it's tough being out in the ice, in the bitter cold. We really appreciate you bringing the reports to us and finding out all the information and passing it along. Before we let you go, do you have any word of advice for anybody in and around Lafayette County in the town of Oxford?
I would say don't panic. There's going to be a likelihood that there will be power outages, but just be prepared. Whether you've been preparing all week or you're just scrambling now, do not panic. We'll get through this. This too shall pass. We will have brighter days ahead, but it's going to be a difficult time. We've all been through ice storms like these in the past.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I'm hoping the best for this one. Right now, I don't think it's going to compare to Ice Storm 94, but we're not letting our guard down just yet. I am going to let you go and get somewhere warm, but Garner, I'm going to check in with you again in about 30 minutes because you talk about the light precipitation that's coming down there right now. I'm sitting here looking at the radar, and it looks like it may start to intensify within the next few minutes. So we're going to analyze that. We'll hear back from you. So find someplace warm to hang out, and I'll check in with you again in about 30 minutes if that's good with you.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be here for it, let you know what's happening outside.
All right, Garner Montgomery live down in Oxford, Mississippi. Hotty-toddy, but they could be in the crossfire or the crosshairs of the threat for icy conditions in the form of freezing rain, which would not be good, especially given the fact that it looks like they've got a good quarter, possibly even close to half an inch of ice already starting to gather on tree limbs and power lines in that area. As I mentioned, I'm seeing the precipitation increase. Let's take a look at this map full because I've got a pretty good view of the precip that's coming in. Now notice a good portion of eastern Arkansas, West Tennessee, even northwest Mississippi getting a nice break as a little slot of dry air is moving in, but we're also starting to see a little more moisture surging in from the south, and that's coming in around Lafayette County, starting to make its way into southern Marshall and Benton County, Potts Camp, Hickory Flat, Myrtle. You're looking at a little light mix of rain and sleet, so not the ideal conditions in that area. And we've still got a lot of moisture that's going to flow in, and that could lead to some bigger problems to come. I am hopeful, as I mentioned, for what we've been seeing, and there's a low pressure center that's down here in the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America, that is going to lift to the north, but I think it's going to make more of an easterly trek, and that's going to bring that warm air with it. But look, northeastern Mississippi is still going to be in close proximity to that, so they're still in the bullseye for the potential for freezing rain. But I really believe everybody that is along and north of this line, primarily into northeast Arkansas, West Tennessee, northwest Mississippi, you may be in a pretty good slot for just sleet. And look, there's still a lot of snow that extends all the way back from western Texas into Oklahoma, northwestern Arkansas. I do think we'll see a little bit of a transition over to sleet as the night progresses, as a little warm air is going to surge in with this as well, coming in out of the southwest. But with temperatures well below freezing, the depth of that cold air from the surface aloft is going to dictate what type of precipitation we get. A liquid raindrop, just a raindrop or an ice crystal that has melted in the mid-levels of the atmosphere will need to fall through 1,500 feet of below freezing temperatures as it gets to the surface in order to refreeze. So we need the depth of that cold layer below freezing to be a little more than 1,500 feet. That's pretty much going to guarantee we get sleet in the area. But if it's any more shallow than that, say 1,000 feet, even under 1,000 to 500 feet, then as that liquid hydrometeor falls, or the raindrop as we call it, as that falls, it will still stay in liquid form and then freeze on contact with anything and everything that it touches. I did an experiment on Action News 5 Thursday with Kim Clark. I brought in a donut and had a glazed donut with some chocolate sauce. As a matter of fact, Jacob even helped me out. We melted a couple of Hershey's chocolate bars. The remnants are still in the weather office if you want it, by the way. But I took some sprinkles on a donut and showed Kim how it just kind of falls off and onto the plate. So yeah, it hit the donut, but none of it stuck. It ended up on the plate. So that's an indication of sleet coming down, hits trees, hits power lines, but then just falls to the ground, most of it landing on the surface. Really makes for some horrible traffic conditions, but at the same time, freezing rain, liquid precipitation falling and touching a surface that's at or below freezing, it adheres to it. It sticks to it, everything. Tree limbs, tree leaves, power lines, your home, your car, it just coats everything and freezes right there. So you get a layer of ice. And then once that ice starts to build up, you're looking at a tremendous amount of weight. As a matter of fact, a half an inch of ice on a tree adds about 7,000 pounds. On a mature tree, half an inch of ice will add 7,000 pounds of weight to that tree. That brings down power lines or tree limbs, which in turn can take down power lines and create big problems. And as I mentioned earlier, that half an inch of ice on a power line is equivalent to about 1,000 additional pounds of weight on that line. Just easy enough to bring it all down. I know that looks like a hot mess back there. Let me clear that off so you get a clearer view of what is coming our way. But that's just a little explanation of what we are dealing with. I got a lot of questions coming in on Facebook. Again, I mentioned you can watch us on Facebook, but we're also on YouTube and all the streaming platforms. So let's see. Let's get through here. Stephanie Bonds Taylor wanted to know a moment ago, how are the weather and streets in Oxford? Stephanie, we just showed you. Garner gave us a great report. Those streets look passable right now, but that's right there in the main thoroughfare. I think as you get off on some of those side roads, some of the less frequently used highways, you're going to be dealing with a layer of ice on there that could make it dangerous. And now we're looking at more precipitation coming in there. And temperatures down in Lafayette County tonight, they're going to fall in the teens to near 20 degrees. So whatever falls, we got a hard freeze coming in play tonight. So if you can, just stay home. And look, not far from there, Steve Anderson wants to know, what about Ashland, Mississippi? Steve, you're on the bubble. You are right there on the bubble. That is in Tippah County right there. So, in Benton County. I should know that. I got family there. So Ashland, you're right there in close proximity. Just to your north, Hardeman County under that ice storm warning, as is Benton and Marshall County. So the potential for freezing rain is there. But I'm telling you, I really think we're going to see a better chance. And let me see if I can find this this image that I was using earlier, because I still think it's got a really good handle on the type of precipitation we're looking at and what we expect to fall over most of the area. I'm accessing my graphics computer remotely right now, so it takes me just a second to cycle through here. So let's check it out. Here's the graphic itself. We call it the winter storm ingredients. Patrick Ellis put this together, and I think it's masterful, showing the area that is most susceptible to seeing the freezing rain. And that line cuts through Alcorn County, northeast Mississippi, on down to Clarksdale. That's where I think we're going to see the greater probability or threat of freezing rain. Mixing in, a little sleet mixing in, but look, even if that sleet mixes in with those raindrops, that adheres as well. If it were just sleet alone, it'd end up on the ground. But because it's mixing in with that liquid precipitation coming down, that also adds to the potential of additional weight and ice accretion on power lines and tree limbs and really anything elevated. Sleet, mainly along and north of that line, and that does include Memphis and Shelby County. And tonight, as I was looking at forecast models, I only had a brief period of time between our digital desk hits earlier today and Action News 5. We did a special edition at 4 until 5:30. So I only had a chance to take a glimpse at the forecast models, but meteorologist Eric Brill has just been glued to it all day long. So we had a great discussion. And right now, I'm still confident that the majority of the area, and that includes Memphis and Shelby County, are going to be dealing with sleet primarily. I do think some snow is still going to mix in. And look, we've already seen some pretty good snowfall amounts just to our north. As a matter of fact, about 4.5 inches from an earlier report around Dyersburg. Haven't had anything from them in the last couple of hours, but I think snow will be north of that blue line. But if you're in between the blue line and the pink line, and again, Memphis right in there, I think we're in good shape. I've thought that all along, and I think it's going to be primarily sleet. But another surge is coming as we get into the overnight hours. And that map, once again, showing that 1/4 to 1/2 inch possible along and south of the 40 corridor. But right now, it looks like the real threat is going to be to our south, where in many areas, we've already seen close to 1/2 inch of accumulating ice on trees and power lines. And that could come close to or exceed 1 inch, given the fact that we've still got about another 1/2 inch to 1 inch of moisture to squeeze out of the atmosphere. So something to keep in mind there. Speaking of snow totals, did I have those? I think I did. Let me show you this. This is dated a little bit. I think Eric may update this coming up in just a bit. But Dyersburg, 4.5 inches, primarily snow. Ripley, 4 inches, primarily snow. West Memphis, 3.25. And that was from earlier in the day today. So, but those were the latest totals I have at this time. But 3.25 inches, it was a mix of snow and sleet. Somerville, same for you, a mix of snow and sleet. And Memphis had about 2 inches of a mix of snow and sleet. Matt Enfield was out in it a little while ago, and Matt was measuring. And he was originally doing his measurement in the grass. You don't measure in the grass. You need a solid surface. National Weather Service uses what they call a snowboard. It's basically just a board, and they let it snow on it, and then they'll measure from that. But if you do want to get a true, accurate measure for your location, find a solid surface, whether that be an outdoor table or a ledge, what have you, even the sidewalk. Put the ruler down there and measure from there. Because if you put it in the grass is usually about 1 inch to 2 inches. You're going to measure all the way down to the dirt, and then the precipitation that accumulated on top of it, it's going to make it seem like it's really more than it is. So you want to make sure you're measuring from a solid surface. And by the way, if you do get some measurements, send us pictures. We want to see them. You can submit them through our Action News 5 app or the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app. If you scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see an area there that says submit your photos. And Jacob, what's the other way people can share their photos to us? desk@wmctv.com. Do we still use that email?
There's a link on our website as well. Share your pics.
All right.
At the very top of the website.
Oh, that's great. Share your pics, top of our website. And by the way, a whole host of information on our website. We're already getting school closings coming into play for the beginning of next week. They're all listed right there. Also, critical phone numbers. If you need information, if you need services, it's right there on our website. And you can also go back and look at some of the coverage we've had today. Matt Enfield was out in the snow today. He was not brave enough to do the sled ride as Kim did, but he was out and about. If he gets back this evening, we'll check in with him. Oh, is he gone for the day? Do we?
Yeah.
You want to play it?
Yeah.
Kim Clark rode a sled tonight on Bartlett Hill. That's what it's called. We got the video. Jacob, you want to fire it up? Show us that video. I think I've got the audio set for you. Oh, there we go. Look. And look, she almost fell. Kim Clark, ladies and gentlemen, her finest moment, captured on video, and believe you me, we're going to be keeping that around for a while. And just remind her every now and then, hey, remember that time you rode a sled? It's good to see everybody bundled up out there. If you're going to be out and about tomorrow playing in the snow and sleet, just make sure you are bundled up. Cover your hands, your face if you can. Just make sure you've got layers of clothing on. It is going to be very cold, and we'll hit a high of 20. We'll hover right around that through the day, but it is going to feel even colder throughout the day. So something to keep in mind there. Jacob, it played. It was great. You did well. You did great. Can you play it again? Sometimes computers, yeah, not the greatest things. Not the greatest things at all. All right, let me go back. Here she goes. Here we go. She almost fell off. She keeps going.
I think go down there.
That was good. That was great. And look, happy to report, no broken bones in that. So good news there. That was fun. So getting out and about, playing in it, but if you're planning on driving in it, I want you to think twice. Tonight's the night to stay home. Tomorrow's going to be a day to stay home. You know, Grizzlies are playing tomorrow. We're broadcasting the game live on Action News 5 at 2:30. We always encourage people to go to the Grizzly games, but this is one that you may want to think twice about simply because I think, well, it could be a little treacherous to get there. The Grizzlies are going to play no matter what if their opposing team comes into town, but the game is going to be on TV. You can watch it from the comfort of your home. Is the video stuck? We're stuck on the video, aren't we? Jacob can't get back to me. There may be some people who are happy about that. I don't know.
You ready?
But we're stuck on this, huh? So we just loop Kim's ride over and over and over. So I tell you what, Jacob, I'm going to let you try to figure that out. In the meantime, I want to answer some more questions that are coming from our Facebook feed. And that's the one way you can submit questions. So if you are watching on YouTube or any of our other streaming platforms and you do have a specific question, pop over to your Facebook page and go to the Action News 5 page, and you can enter your comment there under our live stream. So I'll get to it. Kathy Gillen wants to know, how is Drummond's going to be? You know what? Drummond's is really looking at snow. We saw some significant snow. And look, Eric updated the snow totals. Millington now coming in with about 5 inches of sleet and snow. Humboldt, 4.5 inches, so that's up there around Drummond's, Tennessee, in close proximity. So you're in for primarily, got your round of snow last night, early this morning, sleet for a good part of the day, and I think the next round that comes your way, Kathy, is going to be primarily in the form of sleet. It's going to end as snow late morning, middle of the day, but we are going to be dealing with sleet, I think, for a good part of the day. Look, Jacob's still working to get that video off there. We're going to try, all right? We're going to go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back. We'll answer more of your questions. We'll fix this. It's technology. It does it every time. We'll be back So stand by. And we're back. He figured it out. There's Jacob right there, jumping in. He saved the day. We got some new snow totals that came in that I was talking about just moments ago. Millington 5 inches, Humboldt 4.5, 4 inches in West Memphis. I know that was a mix of sleet and snow. Memphis 3.5 inches right now. You know, our original estimation was about 1 to 4 inches. So we'll exceed that just a little bit with this next round coming into play. But pretty good. Jeanette, Arkansas, 3.9 inches. Bolivar, only 1.5 inches, and that was primarily in the form of sleet. So we're looking at that. And what's coming our way next is another round we'll move in later. We'll check back in with the Monty in just a moment. So I just want to scroll through here. Again, I'm on the Facebook page just looking at the comments. Frederick Pratcher wanted to know, so is all the accumulation we are getting? No. Just a lull tonight, Frederick, and then we're going to see another round that develops later tonight. It's already starting to kind of move in towards south and east, but more will come in later tonight. And really, that's going to be our main threat for the potential for more widespread freezing rain. And that could come in close proximity to the Memphis metro, but I really think most of us are just going to be dealing with sleet for the most part. So just a cold, icy night. Tony Barron wants to know, will Horn Lake be getting sleet? Yeah, I do believe so, and I think you're in a better position to get sleet as opposed to freezing rain. Now, there could be a little liquid precipitation that mixes in, but the greater threat for all liquid precipitation is really going to come closer to Corinth and down to Oxford, maybe extending as far south and west as Clarksdale. But overall, I'm really confident that a good part of the area is just going to be dealing with sleet tonight, but we're not letting our guard down by any means. So May Davis says, hope we don't get ice here in Millington. I think you're in good shape, May. I really think you'll see some sleet, but not dealing with freezing rain that has the potential to bring down the power lines and create big problems. But the sleet itself will cause problems on travel for several days. As a matter of fact, in our 10-day forecast, let me hit that with you one more time. I'll bring it up behind me here because I want you to see we're highlighting Monday or Tuesday and Wednesday because we think there are going to be issues with widespread issues with travel just coming into the area. That should pop up behind me here in just a moment. And you notice we've got highlighted Tuesday, Wednesday in yellow. So what that means, whenever we go red, that means that is a first alert. There is some type of significant weather coming our way. When we highlight days in yellow, that's your clue, or that's your first alert to the potential for some issues. All right? So red means bad things are coming or happening, but yellow means there's the potential for some disruptive issues. And I really think Tuesday, Wednesday, those disruptive issues are going to be in the form of travel, just getting around. It's quite possible we don't have school next week. So you may, mom and dad, you may want to start thinking about that right now. So That's what we've got there. I see Amani's lining up. Has it been 30 minutes already? Let's check in with her because I don't want to keep her out in the cold too long. Amani, that was a quick 30 minutes. You get a chance to warm up a little bit before you came back to us?
That was a very quick 30 minutes, but I did get a chance to warm up. I got my hot hands in here. I put my snow pants on like I told you last time, so I really can't feel anything because I'm just so bundled up, except for the wind just like wiping across my face because it's very, very windy out here. It hasn't been that windy earlier today, but as the day has progressed, I can tell it's getting increasingly windy, which is making whatever is on the ground, whether it's sleet or snow or ice, kind of come up and make look like a white dust all across Clarksdale right now. I'm in the parking lot of Walmart and it is slick out here. Everything has kind of compacted down on the ground. People have been driving around Clarksdale all day long. I haven't seen it die down really. People have been driving to different restaurants, different stores, gas stations are open, but people have been taking it slow for the most part. I have seen some people driving a little fast, but it is packed down on the road here. I did speak with the mayor and I also spoke with the police chief. They said there has not been a surge of emergency services needed just yet. They do have an auditorium that's open for people in the unhoused community that need a place to stay and they need warm food. They did open the auditorium for them, and they also said that if there is like dispatch or nurses that need to get to work, police officers have been escorting them to work. So a lot of community that has been happening here in Clarksdale, Ron.
Right, Amani, we've had reports of, and I posed this question to Garner earlier when we were talking to him down in Oxford. Has there been any discussion from officials in Clarksdale or Coahoma County about implementing any type of curfew? We've seen that already, Covington issuing a curfew that will go into effect tonight or is in effect right now until 6 a.m. What about that down there? Because, I mean, you guys have got a solid sheet of just sleet and snow on the ground, making it, and it's going to get cold there tonight. Any concern from city leaders?
Well, I did just speak with Mayor Patton here in Clarksdale just about 30 minutes ago before my last live hit. He did say that they are still urging people to not come outside, do not drive if you do not have to, only if you are an essential worker. I remember that word a few years ago, but he said if you are an essential worker, then you can come out, but they have not put a curfew out, so that's why you still kind of see people driving around, coming to Walmart, getting groceries, or going to the gas station. No curfew yet, but they are urging people to stay indoors.
Amani, I posed this question to you earlier this afternoon when we talked. A lot of people want to know about the safety of our reporters and our photographers, and that is always paramount to us, making sure you guys are safe and sound. Any issues that you've had in getting there or getting around where you are? Are you in a good, safe location right now?
Now, although that we haven't seen any snowplows get all the ice and sleet off of the ground, it has been, you can drive, you just have to drive really slow. So that's what we've been doing. Darren has been very careful to drive and make sure he's in some tracks that people have already made so we won't slip and slide. We've had snacks. I brought some chili. So I ate some chili earlier, just a few minutes ago. And we have had coffee and things like that. So we've been trying to stay warm as much as we can.
Well, hey, I tell you what, let's get you back inside and get warm again. We'll check in with you later on this evening. She'll be bringing us a live report on Action News 5 at 10 as well. Amani, great work today. Thank you for the reports and the information you've been bringing us. Now go back inside for a minute, find yourself warm. And Walmart's open. That's great. Walmart's open and people are going. Monty Williams, thank you. Have a good night. Be safe out there. Hey, meteorologist Eric Brill just popped in to the Action News 5 digital desk. You have, what are you doing? What are you looking at? Come here. What do you got for us?
This is going to make me look even taller than you than what I already am. Hold on.
He's going to bring over a chair. There we go. What do you got? You've been really eyeballing.
There you go. Now you're happy.
There we go. What do you got for us? I see you updated some of the totals we've got coming in. Anything catch your eye?
I'm surprised how much the north side of Shelby County able to, because Millington, I believe we have the high total right now at 5 inches. So
Yeah.
that surprises me. And obviously there's going to be other areas here. We're good. Don't worry about it. If I gotta raise this chair.
We're live here, by the way.
Oh, come on. You're telling me I don't know. That's
live.
that's the benefits of live television. And this is where Childers and I get to cut it up a little bit here. And trust me, we do cut it up a bit. Are we on the one shot right now? Or we have the boxes still up. There you go.
You would think he's new to this.
No, honestly, to give him the benefit of the doubt, I just kind of showed up and said, dude, let me talk to Childers.
Yeah.
So here we are. That's kind of what I do.
So
but,
I saw that you had updated those totals.
So the Millington total, that surprised me.
And I tell you what, while you put us back in the box, and let me bring that back up again, Jacob. I want to show those updated precip totals. You know, we were surprised too at the amount of snow in the downtown area.
Yeah.
And the precipitation started there last night, just before 10 o'clock. It started to move into along the Mississippi River coming in from the west. So no surprise there.
Right.
But what else in the stuff you've been looking at this evening?
Interesting that Crockett County's kind of taking the cake too. So aside from
Really?
over towards Humboldt into Alamo, they have 5 inches of snow. And also, I was talking with the Crockett County Emergency Agency, and they gave us access to their camera in Alamo. So,
that's great.
Yeah, so
Awesome.
that's a nice little resource
We'll be
for
able
us
to
to have.
show that, tonight at 10?
Yeah, why not?
I hope so.
Right.
That'll be nice.
Right.
Somebody asked a little while ago about what's coming to Humboldt.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly confident they're going to be in for sleet tonight.
Right. If anything, I think there's a better chance of it being all snow than even all freezing rain.
Oh, that's even better.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think overall probably will be sleet. And, here's you saying as far as hope's not necessarily a solution and hope's not an answer. But we can
I
still
say hope is typically disappointment delayed.
Right, one of these days I'll get that right.
Yeah,
but I think we're cautiously optimistic that a lot of us will be able to see sleet with this next round coming in later on tonight. But there probably will be some areas that do see freezing rain. I mean, we've talked about that at depth, and even going back to meteorologist Riley Wench and meteorologist Patrick Ellis, we're keeping our fingers crossed that this ends up being more sleet than necessarily freezing rain.
And Garner Montgomery's down in Oxford. He was getting a little bit of a mix of light rain and a little bit of sleet coming in there. And there's also a little surge of moisture that's starting to come up from the south as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure you obviously been tracking the radar here over the past hour or so at this point, really throughout the day in the past few days. It's interesting to see these little sort of pink dots and lines coming up here right now into Shelby County, kind of into the heart of the Mid-South. That they don't really amount to much, but it's just kind of like the, hey, don't forget about me. We're getting this little stuff now, but we still have more precip to go tonight. A lot of it is going to fall as far as a precip later on tonight after most people are falling asleep. But if you head out to church services tomorrow, that's going to be
tough.
That's going to be tough. I know one thing that I think that did come out of COVID is as far as the ability to go digital and virtual when it comes to a lot of different things, and hopefully as far as that goes, that could kind of give people that alternative plan to for church services here on Sunday. But it's going to be interesting to see what this next round brings, especially to how long this dry air is going to stay in place around the Mid-South, because we have that first batch, it is pretty much out of here. That second batch, it's moving itself off to the northeast and towards the Mid-South, but at least for right now, we're doing okay. But how long is that dry slot going to stay dry?
Yeah, and look, we're going to stay here tonight and ride this out. We'll be here in the morning and just see how all this plays out. But you spent a few years in Twin Falls, Idaho, and Twin Falls, they have the Idaho has its winter weather. But I was surprised when you told me you'd never been through an ice storm before.
Well, because usually it's too cold there to have any sort of 50-50 with it. So, and even so I went to my journey to get here to the Mid-South was in Idaho. Before that, I was in Beaumont, Texas. Before that, I was in Bismarck, North Dakota. Before that, I went to college up in New Hampshire. But I never really have experienced an ice storm myself.
But you've had all of this amazing cold weather experience. And listen, his knowledge in that, and Riley as well. Riley's had some tremendous insight and influence in just discerning what the models are showing. But you guys are really, really cold weather experts.
You talk to him, he doesn't want to talk about the cold weather. He likes the warm more than the cold. But
Yeah.
I know you've said that to me a few times here as far as, Riley doing a heck of a job here with the forecast leading up to this given event. So
Yeah.
it's always kind of interesting when you bring new people to a weather team. And it doesn't make a difference what part of the country you're in. But obviously, Ron, you have interacted and worked with a bunch of great people here at Action News 5. You could, you could have a Mount Rushmore of that. But between Patrick, myself, and Riley, we haven't obviously been here for too long, but we've all worked in different areas in different parts of the country, forecasted different weather elements, and it's always interesting when you kind of mold that together, what you come up with. And obviously, the expertise of Chief Meteorologist Ron Childers, we get to learn from that as well. He gave me a 20 for that.
But, we look at the experience. Like Patrick is here due to his severe weather experience. He's had that East Coast hurricane experience. He's been down in Jackson for a number of years where he dealt with severe weather. And I mean, Jackson had some years when he was there, just event after event after event. I've spent 37 years, I've lived in Memphis all my life, but 37 years forecasting weather here. But to have your cold weather experience, and then the other thing, many people don't know this, Eric was in Hurricane Harvey down in Beaumont, Texas. You were actually trapped in the station for 5 days.
Yeah, and not because I wanted to.
Yeah, surrounded by water, 50 inches of rain.
What was it? 60.58 inches of rain. The most rain to ever come from a tropical event was during Hurricane Harvey. And it was about 2 miles away from where I was living at the time. So, you can imagine being on air and having to deal with that, wondering, wonder what I'm going to go home to. That wasn't the most fun. But, obviously getting back to the task at hand here across the Mid-South, I think for the most part we have fared, relatively speaking, pretty well. Haven't seen any sort of big-time infrastructure damage. There have been cars off the road, have gotten reports of trees being down, some power lines, things of that nature. But overall, we've been faring okay. Obviously, tip of the cap to all the different, to the first responders out there, to anybody driving a plow, the sanders, putting down the brine, things of that nature. Now we just got to hope on this secondary sort of round that we could keep the good times flowing and not see too much in the way of issues, because the second batch, you don't want to take that uppercut, in the second round of the boxing match.
I'm really confident though in what we're seeing, and the fact that low seems to be skirting a little farther to the east. And look, that the center of that low pressure system, 10 miles can make a huge difference. 10 miles east or west can make a huge difference in what we receive in forms of precipitation. But the latest models and even the track of the low itself starting to shift a little farther east. And that was my thinking all along. And again, from the get-go, look, last weekend when we were talking about this, I was fairly certain. There was talk at the time of, this is going to rival Ice Storm 94. And
we were going to get 30 inches of snow.
Yeah. And my thinking was, that's not going to happen. And it just didn't have the same characteristics. I originally thought the low was just going to ride along the Gulf Coast, kick some moisture north. We get a lot of sleet and snow. The low now ejecting north and east, but it looks like it's going to be centered more in northern Alabama, which puts us on the backside. Given that, I just flipped the microphone away, but it gives us a little more colder air coming in behind that low to transition that liquid precip into ice.
Hey, how about this? I like continuing this conversation between you and me. We have a little bit of time. But Garner Montgomery's outside, and something tells me he's probably not the most ecstatic one to be hanging out outdoors waiting for us to go here.
Let's talk about
I see him with a smirk on his face right now. He's probably saying, come on, guys. This is great talk, but let's go.
Can I, one thing quickly, though, because Garner is, let me tell you, if there's bad weather, he's like right there in it. Garner Montgomery, and many of you likely still have memories of the storms that came through the Mid-South in April, the deadly, devastating tornadoes. Garner Montgomery was in the storm tracker with Patrick Ellis, and the look on your face, Garner, when you got back from that, I don't think, would you rather report from this or be out in the storm tracker chasing tornadoes again?
I'll say this, the storm tracker chase, that is something I am so glad I got to experience. I'm going to tell my grandkids about that, how I was able to spot a tornado with the Patrick Ellis, with Ron Childers and Eric Brill cheering me on from the sidelines. Would I do it again? I'm not sure. It's like it was a real thrill to do, but maybe I will take just standing outside, pointing and looking at cold weather. I'll take this any day of the week. So far, it's not been too bad. You ever seen the movie Batman and Robin from the 90s? Not a great movie, but at the end, all of Gotham City was frozen by Mr. Freeze, and that's what we're seeing out here tonight in Oxford pretty much, and it's only going to get worse from here. So there is kind of an appeal. It definitely looks great out here. Really neat novelty to see everything just completely frozen over and how slick it is, because you don't get this that often in Mississippi. I'm sure it's going to get worse over the course of the next few days, but right now I'm just enjoying the moment right now.
Garner, behind me, I have got the map pulled up. We're zeroed in on Lafayette County right now and the town of Oxford. The precipitation looked like a little surge was coming in. It's kind of shifting east a little bit. That's encouraging. But what are you seeing right now? Your ground truth, as we call it, eyes on the ground. Having a radar is great, but we're hitting that at about 3,000 feet. What's coming in where you are?
Yeah, not saying anything too extreme. I think it really, during the day so far, it peaked around noon. We're starting to hit really, really hard. And then towards the afternoon, when it started to form as freezing rain instead of these ice pellets, that was at its most intense throughout the day. And yes, we were projecting that it was going to get worse over the course of the next hour. It still might, but as of right now, not much has changed. Still this light freezing rain that's been very, very consistent. Ever since I got up this morning, it's been exactly like this to some degree.
So the precipitation that's falling right now, that's in liquid form, am I right?
Pretty much. I would not say it's quite frozen enough to be ice pellets. It's just small little almost flakes that are coming down. So I would say freezing rain would be the most accurate way to describe it. It's still coming out wet. It's still coming out moist, but quickly forming little crystals around me right now.
And that, Garner, is you are giving us a live view of freezing rain. So it's falling in liquid form. Jacob, can you pull up the temperature right now, the temperature map? Garner, it's 27 degrees where you are. So the temperature in Oxford, below freezing, you've got liquid precipitation falling, and it is crystallizing on your jacket as we speak. Is that what you're telling us?
Yes, pretty much. You can kind of see it's kind of, if I swish it around a little bit, it goes back to being liquid, but it stays really, really tight, knit together, like it's almost ready to solidify.
So that's what's coming down on trees. That's what's coming down on power lines, that liquid precipitation falling and then adhering. So with this second surge coming in, Garner, it looks like you may be right there in the crosshairs for this next round of freezing rain that's going to add to what are you thinking, about a quarter, a little less than a half an inch of accretion already on tree limbs and power lines here?
Yeah, that's definitely be a fair assessment on the tree limbs, on the ground, on this sidewalk. I would say half an inch has already accumulated, and about maybe you can see over here, probably a good, I would say, quarter inch or so on this tree right here. Maybe different, especially in southern Lafayette County, where it's been the hardest according to emergency management that we've talked to. Maybe even worse in other parts of Lafayette County.
All right, Garner. Well, look, I tell you what, I want you to get back inside because this is going to start ramping up a little bit. But I am encouraged by the fact that we're seeing this start to slide off to the east a little bit. Can we check in with you a little later on? You're going to be available to maybe bring us an update. And look, if you see this precipitation increasing or what have you, jump on in and let us know. But are you at a place where you can kind of get in, warm up a bit, and then come back and give us another report?
Absolutely. So we're close to the hotel lobby that we're staying in. Looks like a lot of the hotel employees' kids are in the lobby having a good time playing Uno, playing pool. And some of the folks staying here are having a good time having some wine and cheese. Definitely would be the perfect opportunity to do so tonight if you're staying in a hotel. Just enjoy the moment. We might lose power at some point in the night, so enjoy it while it lasts.
All right, Garner Montgomery down in Lafayette County in the town of Oxford, bringing us a live report. Hey, buddy, thank you very much. And I know the chasing the tornado is a little scary. Dealing with freezing rain can be as well. So we're wishing you all the best, and we'll talk to you again a little later on this evening. Garner Montgomery, thank you very much for that live report. So good news there. Interesting. Did you see that? The freezing rain actually forming on his jacket.
Yeah, it's not a great thing to obviously see that, but I mean that's just reality.
Yeah,
we've been looking at really from Corinth over to Clarksdale as kind of being the hot spot here, and that really includes Oxford for freezing rain with this whole entire event. I will say I was surprised how much sleet and snow was on the ground as well.
Now Oxford was all sleet.
Yeah,
I don't think there was
sense.
any snow in that. So I think the farther east and southeast, the accumulation on the ground was primarily sleet.
Right.
It really wasn't until we got north of, I think, Covington, really, where we saw
and even
snowfall.
Ripley. Yeah.
Closer to Ripley.
But it's even interesting too as far as the combination of snow and sleet for yet again Millington seeing 5 inches of that, and you have to figure that I'd say over half of that was probably in the form of sleet too. And sleet's always going to be much harder to accumulate, have a larger total than snow. But just interesting to see that.
Lauren Hoosier, who's in Ripley,
yeah.
she just asked, "Are we going to get any more snow?"
I think, especially on the backside, once this moves through, I think there will be more snow up there. Probably more sleet initially over the next few hours than necessarily over the next few hours. But I think tomorrow, after about 10 a.m. or so, closer to noon even, that's when I'd say there'll be some snow kind of going through a lot of places.
So Lori Staten's down in Moscow, Tennessee. That is in Fayette County, just to our east.
Oh, yeah, I know where that is.
Wondering what they're going to get. And look, they're just right there north of that ice storm warning area. I got to tell you, I'm pretty confident it's going to be sleet there.
Yeah.
You see anything that makes you question the potential?
Well, not question Ron Childers. Of course. But in all seriousness, even if you do get freezing rain embedded within that is still going to be more sleet than it is freezing rain. I'd say it's probably, at most for freezing rain, I'd say 30%, and the least for sleet would be 70%. And even then, that's probably overestimating the amount of freezing rain there is. So definitely agree with that as far as there being more sleet than freezing rain. If you do get freezing rain, there still obviously can be issues within that. But as far as crazy impactful, we got to retree a forest over in Moscow. I think you'll be okay out of this. I think they'll be okay out of this into eastern Fayette County. Have you ever been, what's that, 57 that goes there?
Yeah.
Man, 57, that's such a tranquil road going through Ross. I mean, I'm going to start turning to Patrick now as far as Rossville, Moscow, Grand Junction.
Beautiful.
And that whole line, and then the state park that they have getting a little bit closer to the Tennessee River over there, too. There's a bunch of state parks that are in that area. It's just a beautiful
And I tell you
area.
what, if you've never canoed the Ghost River, that's something you got to do. It's absolutely beautiful, and in the spring, it's gorgeous. You'll see eagles. Absolutely beautiful. But look, to get back on track here, Paula Annabelle wanted to know how much more sleet precipitation should we anticipate overnight. I want to bring back up this liquid precip map because, or this liquid precip graphic. I showed this earlier, and basically what this is it's a display of potential moisture in the atmosphere. All right, and when you know I can't find it, let me search for it quickly. But you want to explain what that is?
So pretty much, since I know you have the microphone over there.
Yeah, that's right, I do. I have the mic.
So pretty much it's looking at if you were to melt down snow, if you were to melt down sleet, freezing rain, and just treat it, the whole thing as rain. how much water would that be? What form it's going to be is always a different animal.
Yeah.
How much is that going to be? And you can see Ron found that graphic over there. Between about a half to 3/4 of an inch throughout most of the Mid-South. Further to the north, a little bit greater totals and down towards Oxford as well. But half to 3/4 of an inch through really the rest of tonight and through Sunday night for that matter.
And I think most of it's gone by early morning. And, you know, that may even be picking up on some of the moisture, bringing in snow on the backside.
Yeah.
I do think most of us are going to end tomorrow afternoon with a burst of snow.
And I will. So a few of the different Futurecasts that we do have too, they've been giving us even just the last hoorah of this disturbance, if you'll say, between about 8 p.m. and midnight, just squeezing out just a little more moisture before the clouds really clear out. So,
Interesting. And
yeah.
look, 1/10 of an inch of liquid precipitation, on average, ends up, if it's coming down as snow, 1/10 of an inch of liquid precipitation is the equivalent to 1 inch of snow. But I think this is a drier snow, so that would be less. So like 1/10 of an inch would likely add up to about maybe 3/4 to a half an inch of snow. So I got to break out the Kuchera ratio thing again, but it goes back to meteorology school. But I do believe a dusting will likely round it out for everybody.
Yeah.
But the biggest concern right now is the potential for additional sleet and freezing rain. And Jacob, did we pull that map up full? Because I want everybody to see it. The higher amounts of liquid still available, it will be in Corinth, down to Oxford at about 8/10, even around Brownsville and Dyersburg. But if you're north of 40 and looking at close to an inch of liquid available, I think that's primarily going to fall in the form of sleet, snow.
Right.
And then it's the real threat for the freezing rain is going to come into Oxford. But that heavier precipitation you see over there to the east of that, northern Alabama, middle Tennessee,
Huntsville,
that's where that warmer nose is going to be, that warm air surge coming in with that low pressure system. So I think, and that is picking up on the additional moisture, available moisture. So I really think that we may be dealing with sleet for most, with just a little bit of freezing rain mixing in. That's the American model, by the way. Let me show you the European forecast model, because we always like looking at, we look at them all, but these are the ones we typically go to, the GFS and the Euro. And they're still in line, about 1/2 inch to an inch, slightly more right there around Corinth. So look, there's really not a lot of available moisture left, and even the Euro sliding that farther, the bulk of that precipitation farther east. And with the cold air, with a firm grip, I think we're going to see that cold air at the surface start to elevate higher, and we end up with just sleet. So I am very, very encouraged by what we're seeing there, but also we're not going to let our guard down, because we've still got precipitation moving in, and after seeing Garner's live shot down there in Oxford, little liquid, little sleet, kind of a combination, more in the form of liquid. Yeah, believe it or not, even though the temperature is 27, the depth of that cold layer at the surface is a little less. So that's what we're looking at there. And
keep this radar loop on. So how long of a loop do you have this on right now?
I'm not really sure. I'd have to go into the edit. I think that's the last 4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
I do believe.
I will say that leading it. So if you're over in the Tennessee River Valley, if you're in Corinth, if you're in Selmer, if you're in Oxford, even, you're still kind of dealing with the very back edge of that round one. I will say that the round two, that is a little bit further to the east than I thought it was going to be here, because that's starting to sneak now to north central Arkansas. So
that was the last 3 hours.
Okay.
All right. So
yeah,
this is taking a look at the last 3 hours, takes us all the way up. But look at that warmer air that's down around Louisiana, southern central Mississippi. I think Jackson could be in for a decent ice storm coming into play tonight. And from Birmingham on into Huntsville, is looking a little encouraging for Nashville, but look, all that warm air that's coming out of the Baton Rouge area in Louisiana, that's going to lift north and east, and that's going to take it right into northeastern Mississippi, north central Alabama, and Middle Tennessee. So
That's the Chaffalaya Bridge over there. It's giving us a little more warm air.
yeah, absolutely. And look, that low dipped down in the Gulf, so it was able to tap into that warm air and bring it aloft and tap into additional moisture too. So that's leading to somewhat higher accumulation amounts.
Worthwhile to note, Jonesboro has picked, with this first round that kind of has moved on out, especially in Jonesboro at this point, picked up about 8 inches of snow, which that's 8 inches into Jonesboro.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And snow, right?
Right,
Mainly
because
snow.
I don't really recall any sort of sleet that probably would have mixed. Maybe there was a small quantity of sleet, but overall, I'd say at least 90% of that was straight snow. So that's pretty impressive, especially with this next batch too.
Yeah.
You got to figure some part of Craighead County is probably going to collect over a foot of snow, because I think to be able to squeeze out 4 inches of snow out of this next batch, or snow and sleet, should be pretty easy to occur there.
So somebody's wondering about Jackson, Tennessee. You know, we've got our WBBJ there as our new Gray television station there. So it's good to have them in the Gray media family. And their meteorologists over there keeping a close eye on this. But I think they're in good shape for sleet.
Yeah,
areas along and north of 40.
Yeah.
You're looking at primarily sleet. I don't see freezing rain. And just in a nutshell, if you're just joining us, freezing rain bad, really bad.
Yeah.
Sleet not good, but much better. Yeah.
What would you say between sleet and snow? Which is better?
I would rather have snow simply because it's quicker to melt, and especially on the streets.
Yeah.
Sleet, given the choice between freezing rain and sleet, I'm going to take sleet every time. But sleet tends to melt slower, remain on the ground longer. And, you know, we were talking the other day when you and I were on the phone talking about the thing about, and you had told me you'd never been in an ice storm before, and I'm like, a sleet would be better, but it creates these ice trenches in the road.
Well, you saw those. I'm sure you saw that coming to work today. Those had already really formed. And the way that I think about this too, over the past 3 hours or so, there hasn't been much precip here into Memphis and Shelby County, at least in Midtown Memphis. It's been a little bit, but not a ton. And we still have another couple hours to go before it ramps back up.
Yeah.
Everything that's already fallen, and obviously it's well below 32 degrees, that's already going to cake itself and become hard as it is and freeze itself even more so. And as we get deeper into tonight, fewer cars will obviously go over any roads just because naturally people will be sleeping.
Right.
So that's only going to become essentially more concrete, factor in more precip as we head into tonight, even if it is in the form of sleet. While it might not necessarily be straight up freezing rain, the ground's going to be frozen with precipitation on it.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Look, either way, Monday morning,
that's
when
gonna be
people are trying to go back to work, it's going to be a hot mess.
Yeah, or a cold mess.
Or a cold mess, yeah, absolutely. But the roads are not, I think in many areas they could be impassable, especially on the side streets and the hard freeze coming into play at night. That sleet will just kind of compact and form just a sheet of ice on all roads, even treated roads. We talked about this earlier in our discussion, the fact that even though the city of Memphis did a great job with brine on the roads and taking care to treat them all, it works. The brine works great with snow. It does not do well with sleet, just because you're talking about compact ice pellets. All right, snow is just fluffy ice crystals, lots of air in between, easier to melt. But you get that sleet, the little ice pellets, they compact. You got a solid sheet of ice. Big problems there.
And especially, too, our temperatures for lows are going to be cold. We've talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
But our highs are also going to be cold, too. And you can, if there's enough sunshine around, you can melt some frozen precipitation, even if the temperature's in the 20s and in the lower 30s, if it's still 32 degrees or colder. The thing is, though, it's not going to melt all that much, and anything that did melt, that's going to refreeze at night and cause the same issues the next day. So it's a really slow process when you have temperatures consistently in the 20s and the 30s, as we have really through the end of the month. And I know that sounds dramatic, but the end of the month is today's the 24th, so a week from, or I guess it's Sunday of next week. So we're going to be dealing with at least there being some sort of frozen precip on the ground, I'd say,
Eric,
over the next 7 to 8 days easily.
I think roads on Monday are going to be like a skating.
Oh,
rink.
yeah. And like that's not being dramatic either.
Yeah,
Really,
that
we
is
really
not
do.
being dramatic by any means, because the sun you mentioned, on Monday, we're going to have a full day of sunshine.
Right.
Look, I got the 10-day popped
Yeah,
up behind
see
me.
right there.
But we're only going to hit a high of 20. By the way, we made Monday a first alert weather day because of the cold, the extreme cold warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service. 6 the overnight low Sunday. 6. Single digit.
Not 7, 6.
Coldest temperature ever on record in Memphis, by the way, minus 13. That was in 1963, shortly right around Christmas, 1963. Coldest ever. And we had, God, I forget how many inches of snow. It was the biggest snowfall that ever
Well, that
impacted
predates you by
Memphis.
15 years?
Can you believe it? But there's a picture of my mom holding me in that snow. I was about 6 months old at the time.
Wow.
But that was 1963. But look at this. 6 degrees Sunday night. Hard freeze.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to get sun on Monday, but we're only going to hit 20. So you're going to get basically melting on that top layer that just kind of smooths it all out.
You
won't get any depth of melting.
You want to know what it's almost like? And I know hockey's not necessarily huge within the Mid-South. It's almost just like the hockey sheet getting resurfaced with the Zamboni.
The Zamboni.
It's actually
going
very
on.
similar to that.
Yeah, it absolutely is. The sun is going to be the Zamboni. And look, we've highlighted Tuesday and Wednesday because there are going to be travel impacts both days. 30 the high Tuesday, 33 on Wednesday, and overnight lows back in the teens.
Yeah.
Then we have another shot of cold air that comes in late Wednesday. I think that may be bring some flurries. We were going back and forth on that
You
earlier.
should see how much we just kind of
we do
debate with each other. Just the forecast, just small little intricacies that most people look at us and be like, you guys need hobbies if you're debating over this.
Well, I think it's very important because it's almost like looking at a work of art. When you're looking at a forecast model, what one person may see is one thing. And like if you're looking at a painting, I may see something and you see something different. It's the same thing with a forecast model. I see one thing, you'll see something different. And having that discussion and being able to talk it through is kind of a wonderful thing.
Hey, I got to go do this next cut-in.
Yeah.
I'm looking over at the side screen at Imani Williams. She looks like she can't wait to talk again because she wants to go back inside. Now she's starting to smile since we brought her name up, and she's like, uh-oh, I get to go back on. Eventually, I'm going to go back inside here. So
There she is.
yeah, look at her. She's like, all right, come on, let's go.
Imani, any words of wisdom for Eric Brill over here?
I'm getting a little warm in this studio right now. So, how is it out there?
I heard Eric talking, and I was like, okay, like hopefully they'll like not talk like longer, because I was like, let me jump back in the car because it is freezing out here, Eric. It is so cold. The wind is blowing. I know Ron told us earlier that it was probably around 16 miles per hour. I don't know, I guess, how fast that is, but it feels pretty fast right now. 16 miles per hour. Wind gusts are like just blowing across my face.
Yeah, and I think you now know for certain how you're going to go through the rest of your life and say, I know what 16-mile-an-hour winds feel like. But look, what have you got for us now?
Exactly.
We've had a little activity, and it even looks like, I mean, the Walmart's still going strong there tonight, huh? People are still...
Yeah, like I said, all day long, people have been up and down the roads here in Clarksdale. The snow and the sleet did not stop them. A lot of people have like big trucks, so they've been using those to get around. Some people that don't have big trucks, they still have been out and about in these conditions. It is starting to get very slippery and compacted on the ground. It's not just fluffy ice and snow on the ground anymore. It's more of like a sheet of ice right now, and it's colder outside, so I can only imagine how it will be in the morning.
Yeah, Amani, and the wind chills are really the big thing down there because we're looking at single-digit wind chills coming into play. And the fact that just not only that layer of ice, snow on the ground there, but then you add in that factor in the wind and the colder temperatures, that really has a big impact. I think you've dressed properly for it. Multiple layers of clothing. Have you seen people getting out and about prepared for this?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people at gas stations making sure that their gas tanks are fueled up. Also, people getting more food. A lot of people have had several layers of clothes on. I've seen blankets in the back seats of their cars. So I feel like people listened ahead of time and they were making sure that they were prepared. But like I said earlier, there are some people still coming here to Walmart trying to stock up on food or other items. We talked to a man earlier that said his friend forgot some items, so they were happy that Walmart was open. There were some restaurants that have been open all day. Maybe 1 or 2 employees were there. So it has been kind of moving and grooving here in Clarksdale. I talked to the mayor and he urged that people don't get out if they don't need to. Please stay at home because it is starting to get icy on the roads.
You know, we had talked earlier in the week about possibly having you get over to Corinth. Unfortunately, we weren't able to work that out. It's a little different situation that you're in right now, but at any point have you felt uneasy or just like, I wish I wasn't here right now?
I mean, I love to make sure that people are prepared. I love to make sure that people are prepared, and so that is my job. So I'm going to do my job and make sure everyone knows what to look out for, what the conditions are. I'm outside, so you can stay inside.
I love that. Amani Williams, listen, in any type of weather, you are always the first to volunteer to get out there, get in it, and bring us a report. And we certainly appreciate all the great work you've done today and continue to do this evening. I know it's long hours. I know it's cold. Thank you very much for your reports here on our digital desk tonight. We're going to see you tonight on Action News 5 at 10. You want to give us a little tease on anything you're going to be talking about or what you're going to be talking about specifically?
Well, I probably won't be here in the Walmart parking lot. We're probably going to head back downtown Clarksdale and just kind of see what's going on down there. That's where a auditorium and community center is open for people who need somewhere warm to stay. And I know that will be super, super important tonight. So we'll probably head back downtown.
I'm curious to know if it's going to be hopping down there. Clarksdale is known for its juke joints all over the world. They have their juke festival every year down there. Some of the greatest blues musicians from around the world travel to Clarksdale, Mississippi for their blues festival. So, Amani, I'm anxious to see what downtown is like on an icy late January night. So I'm looking forward to that report. Any final thoughts?
Thank you. Yes. No, I think that's it. We're going to get back in the car and warm up a little bit.
All right, good deal. Thank you very much, Amani Williams. Get warm, and we'll see you tonight on Action News 5 at 10. Thank you very much. All right, so I was looking at some of the other questions on our Facebook feed. By the way, tonight, just to reiterate, we're on Facebook streaming live. We're on YouTube. We're here at our Action News 5 digital desk, where you can find us on the Action News 5 app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV, a free download. So check that out. By the way, I encourage you, if you have those streaming devices, download the app, because if you lose power, you can still look at it on your laptop, you can use it on your mobile device, what have you, and still be able to watch our digital desk streams, which we're going to keep going through the day tomorrow. I think we're going to be here at 5 a.m. in the morning. We're going to start bright and early in the morning. Yeah, we'll be on TV. We're going to be live on TV. Then we'll fire up the digital desk after that. So you'll be able to get great coverage all in the Action News 5 app. But again, tonight you can watch us on those streaming platforms and on Facebook and YouTube. But Facebook is the one place where you can submit your questions, and we're getting a lot of them tonight. A lot of people just wonder about their specific communities. And Kimmy Howell wants to know about Selmer. Kimmy, you're in it, all right? So here's my latest thinking. I want to show you this map. I'm going to throw this up again, and I know I show it a lot, but it's really got a good handle on what we're expecting. In and around Selmer, I'm still looking at about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch of ice. Now, it could be slightly above that as you head down 45, a little closer to Corinth. We could see 1/2 an inch to an inch. It's when ice accumulation exceeds half an inch, that's when or gets close to or exceeds a half an inch, that's when we start to see power lines and trees coming down, big problems with power outages and long-term effects on travel. So right now, I'm hopeful that Selmer is in a good spot. I think that potential for a quarter to half an inch exists in parts of Memphis, Shelby County, and really south of the 40 corridor. But I'm more concerned about the higher accumulation of ice in northeastern Mississippi, closer to the Alabama border right there. And from Oxford to Corinth right now, as the night progresses and we're getting new data in, I'm looking at really that line from Oxford to Corinth to kind of be in the sweet spot for the greater probability of freezing rain. And we've already got accumulation on tree limbs and power lines in that area, so additional ice buildup that could create some big problems. But I am encouraged by what I'm seeing with the models tonight. I am encouraged by the live radar itself. I'll bring this up again just so we'll keep that going in the background so you can see it. The areas in pink, basically that's where we're seeing that wintry mix of freezing rain, sleet, and even a little snow mixing in, but primarily right now in northeast Mississippi, it is freezing rain and sleet. And it looks like it's a little more in the liquid form around Oxford, but notice it's very spotty. There's a lot of dry slots in there. As a matter of fact, much of West Tennessee just dealing with some light precipitation right now, that falling mainly in the form of sleet and some snow flakes mixing in. There's a heavier band of snow that's about to enter northeastern Arkansas, just to the west of Jonesboro. Some of our counties north of the 40 corridor in eastern Arkansas could get a little taste of that as the night goes on. But I still think it's going to be somewhat of a long night tonight, simply because from around midnight to 8 a.m., that's going to be the critical time. And more specifically, midnight to 4 a.m. That's the critical time period for the potential for a big burst of freezing rain to come through the area, and more specifically come in from the southwest and migrate to the northeast up into northeastern Mississippi. I'm still fairly confident that Memphis is just going to deal with sleet through the overnight hours and then transition to snow as we get into the early morning hours and middle of the day tomorrow. So we're looking at a much better scenario than many had expected earlier in the week. So this is playing out primarily as I expected, primarily sleet for most areas, but we've just got to get through the night. And right now, here we are at about 8:12. I think by midday tomorrow, we're going to be in good shape. So we got about another 16 hours of this to deal with. But the First Alert Weather Team is here. We are tracking it. We're going to stay here until it moves out. We were here when it started. We're not leaving until it's gone. And that's why we're on the digital desk tonight, just to keep you informed and keep you safe and sound. Kim Powell says it's over with in Memphis and Shelby County. Not yet. Another surge coming in from the southwest. Let me zoom out a little bit. Let me show you this, because there's another round of moisture that's coming in. That's why we can't let our guard down. You see all that activity that's down there around northeastern Texas, starting to enter southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana. That's the next round coming into Memphis. So even though it's just spitting, as we say out there right now, there's more coming, and I'm watching that activity that's coming in out of southwest Texas. That too showing a sign of making a beeline to the north and east, and that's right there training in behind the precip that is beginning to exit Dallas and will make its way towards Little Rock, making that slow push to the east. So we can see that coming on through. So no, we are not finished with this just yet. So we are not letting our guard down anytime soon. Christy Richmond brought up a good point. She said she filled up water with tea pitchers because of these old water mains. We got a chance to talk with Doug McGowan earlier today. Jacob, do we have that interview and the press conference from the city of Memphis. I was able to get in a couple of questions with them as well. Water was one of the issues. I asked Doug McGowan, the president and CEO of MLGW, what his thoughts were, because there's been a lot going around on social media about freezing water bottles, and in the event that you lose power, it'll help keep your food frozen. There is some truth to that, but at the same time, it's all going to melt together, especially if there are prolonged periods without power. But I did ask Doug specifically about the threat for water, and I even asked him about the threat for gas, for homes that are heated with gas and may have gas generators. You know, would there be enough gas pressure to supply that if we lose electricity? He assured me that yes, they do have the gas on hand and the natural gas on hand, and the pressure, they expect that to maintain. And he's fairly confident as well that water won't be an issue. So keeping extra water on hand, it's always a great thing to do. And as a matter of fact, you should always have water and emergency supplies ready to go. I do a lot of speaking publicly to a lot of civic groups talking about preparing a go bag. In other words, how to have a bag assembled that would get you through a 72-hour period. Basically just a simple backpack with all the necessary things in it for two reasons. If you are, find yourself without power or what have you, or just stranded, you've got this backpack that will get you through a 72-hour period, no matter what the weather may be. And so that one of the things in that is also making sure you have some extra water on hand. So it's always good to keep a case of water at home in the event of something like that happening. But I really don't think that that's going to be an issue for us. And Doug McGowan was relatively confident in that as well. And now as I'm watching this storm system evolve and really unfold with the second round about to come on through, I'm very optimistic. That's a good word. I'm very optimistic in what I am seeing, and especially with the track of low pressure that we were looking at earlier that is driving all of this. So I want to back this up one more time. I'm going to play this out a little bit and just let you see what we are talking about, what we're looking at. There's an area of low pressure that's right here that is about to eject north and east, but it looks like it's going to take more of a trek into north central Alabama than into the mid-south. Now, were that to come up a little farther west, which was the case with Ice Storm 94. Back in 1994, the low kind of ejected out of northeastern, or came out of eastern Texas and came north of Jackson. That brought the freezing rain right into the mid-south. This low pressure center, on the other hand, this one is going to come out of the Gulf. It does bring a surge of warm air with it, but it looks like it's going to, the center of that circulation is going to be a little farther to our east. That is a little rustic kind of depiction there, but it gives you a general idea of my thinking right now and what's going to occur. So I am really starting to become a bit more confident that we're going to get through this with primarily sleet for most areas, and we will end it up with snowfall as we get on into the day. So anyway, that's what we've got there. Let me see if there's anything else, any other questions. People are worried about keeping their food safe and fresh, and I think we're in a good situation with there. Let's go back to Garner Miller right now, or Garner Montgomery right now, who is down in Oxford. I want to check in with him and find out about the precipitation that was falling there. Garner, we were seeing a little bit of light precipitation coming in earlier. Now we're looking at it. Well, what are you seeing right now? Tell us. You're there on the ground. You've got eyes on the ground.
I would still say light right now, but definitely feels like it's a little bit thicker. Feels like it's coming in not stronger, but with more, I'd say there's more droplets that I'm seeing than it was previous. It looks like it's a lot more consistent and a lot more even, this freezing
Liquid
rain that's coming down right now. So not stronger.
It is liquid. Yeah, so it is liquid, right?
Yes.
That's falling from the sky. All right.
Mm-hmm,
So,
just barely.
and you're at about 27 degrees right now. How does it feel out there? I know you're bundled up, but what's it feeling like?
Yeah, being bundled up does help, and also maybe facing the wind, facing away from the wind definitely helps a little bit. Right now, I've been through worse. I actually just took a trip to Wisconsin, so I felt like I was mentally prepared for this cold, especially being bundled up, but definitely being outside for a long period of time does have an effect on some of the less warm parts. Like my jeans have been great at insulating, but I'm wearing fewer layers down on my legs, and I'm feeling a lot colder down there. Of course, I feel it in my breath. Right now, I feel like my face is away from the coldest part, so I'm doing all right over here. But definitely, if you're underdressed, this is a real threat. It is getting cold, and of course, this freezing rain is definitely not going to help if it's hitting fresh parts of your skin.
Yeah, and I tell you what, because of that, I want you to get inside and into some shelter, Garner, because I don't want you to become frozen. We're going to hear from you tonight at 10, and with freezing rain coming down, looks like the streets, before I do let you go, looks like the streets are passable. We've seen a few cars coming in behind you. Have you noticed anything in the way of just errant driving or big problems on the roads there thus far?
Yeah, so we did hear one report of a DUI arrest, which is bad news, absolutely. We do not want you drinking and driving at all, but especially in this inclement weather where the roads are going to be a lot slicker. And speaking of poor driving, you can actually see below me someone had struggled with the roundabout. We can see a couple tracks, look like at least two drivers had a tough time getting around this roundabout and ended up getting into the sidewalk. This is about a half-inch layer of ice below us. It's very, very thick. You can see it's very slick. I can't even make a footprint. I can barely make a dent. I have to really try hard to actually cut through this. It's really, really thick on this particular sidewalk. We measured it. It does measure to half an inch right now, accumulation right here where we're standing.
So Garner, with the temperature falling even more so tonight, you'll get down to around probably 19, 20 degrees down there. There's going to be a hard freeze. That's going to be a solid sheet of ice tomorrow. Yeah. Hey, buddy,
absolutely. Yeah, we're anticipating it.
Be careful out there. We're going to check back in with you tonight on Action News 5 at 10. You'll bring us a live report. We'll let you get in, hang out for a while, get warmed up, and be raring to go for Action News 5 at 10 p.m. So, Garner Montgomery, great job today. Thanks for the live reporting down there in Oxford. Get yourself some warm food, take a break, and we'll see you tonight at 10. Sound good?
Sounds good. And a shout out to our photographer, Jonathan Clayton, who's out here too, braving the cold just as I am. He's definitely been putting on a brave face for sure. Hasn't complained once since we've been down here.
Fan is one of Hickory Flat's finest from Benton County. It's good to have
absolutely
him on the other side of the camera. All right, buddy. You guys are doing a great job out there. Thank you for the reporting. We'll talk to you again tonight at 10. So that's what we have there. We talked earlier about some of the issues that MLGW, the city of Memphis, Public Works were facing. We found we got the interview. You want to play that? You want to play the whole press release from the city of Memphis or the Doug question and answer? Let's go ahead and play it and let's do it.
Traffic-wise, it's been moving on fine. No major problems here. We do have a new accident at North Parkway in Watkins.
I don't think
we have
that's
that other
it.
accident,
That's
55
Patrick
northbound
doing
at 240
traffic early on Friday morning. Here we go. It's in here somewhere. All right. So while he's doing that, again, we want to remind you we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and we're on the Action News 5 app on Amazon Fire, on Roku and Apple TV, a whole host of ways to see Action News 5 tonight. So we've been manning the digital desk throughout the day. Patrick Ellis put in hours today on the desk and with live reporting. I believe they went live beginning at 4:30 this morning. He's getting a little rest right now along with Riley Winch. They'll be back coming back in late tonight. Eric and I are going to stick around as well. We'll be bringing you live coverage on Action News 5 tonight at 10, but extended coverage tomorrow morning, and that is going to start bright and early. Jacob, are we going on at 5 a.m., I believe?
5 a.m.
5 a.m. So we'll be live wall to wall, as we call it. So we're going to stay on from 5 until 2 p.m. So that is the plan right now. So we're going to be with you. We're going to ride this storm out. And for those of you who think that, oh, well, this is over right now, we're done with it. No, we're not. Round 2, lining up. It's coming on in. And we won't get this out of here until midday at the earliest, but likely still dealing with some sporadic snowfall well into the afternoon and the early evening hours, followed by some brutally cold temperatures. So we'll talk more about that coming up. In the meantime, Jacob, did you find it?
He's got to work on it.
Oh, so we're working on it right now. Okay, so it is live on the digital desk here right now. I'll tell you what, let's just roll through the forecast once again for those who may be just tuning in and wondering what's going on and is it over? So let's clear the air, shall we? Winter storm warning, not over. Not until 6 p.m. Sunday. It includes Memphis, Shelby County, much of West Tennessee, all of eastern Arkansas, and the counties that border the Mississippi River in West Tennessee. That is DeSoto, Tunica, Coahoma counties. But each of those counties still could see some freezing rain. And then even into Fayette, possibly even into Shelby, we can't rule out the potential for freezing rain. But the real threat of the ice storm and that freezing rain potential comes in along the Tennessee River south into much of northern Mississippi. That puts Hardeman and McNairy County in the crosshairs here in our coverage area, as well as much of northern Mississippi from Tate, Panola, Quitman, Lafayette, Marshall, Benton, Tippah, Alcorn counties, all under the warning, ice storm warning. That goes until 6 p.m. Sunday. Then it doesn't end there. At 6 p.m. Sunday, an extreme cold warning goes into effect as bitter Arctic cold just grips the Mid-South for a few days to come. So we are looking at Memphis, Shelby County, and the entire Action News 5 coverage area dealing with extreme cold warning as overnight lows will fall into the single digits as we're wrapping up the week. Right now, it feels like it's in the single digits for many areas. Tunica feels like it's 4. Same thing in Memphis. A wind chill of 0 in Blytheville, and it feels like it's -2. Yeah, -2 in Wynne, Arkansas. So, wow, this is something else indeed, and we are not finished with this by any means. So, I want everybody to just stay weather aware and ideally inside because we've got more brutal cold coming our way. Now, actual air temperatures, 17 in Memphis right now, 16 in Blytheville and Dyersburg. Oxford coming in at 25. Amani Williams was down in Clarksdale. She said she could feel the cold just on the other side of the river. 18 degrees there. Mark's checking in at 22 degrees. Futurecast from now until 10. I think it's overperforming just a bit on the amount of precipitation it's spitting out, but I think it's got a good handle on where the better probability for freezing rain is. And you see that area in green that's there on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That is liquid precipitation falling into a very shallow layer of cold air that's right there at the surface, allowing that liquid precip to freeze and adhere to anything and everything it comes in contact with. Corinth coming in right around midnight. That's when we'll see the greater probability ramp up. Now, in the areas you see in pink, that's where we think we're going to see more of a mix of freezing rain and sleet. But I think the farther north and west you go, it's going to be primarily sleet. And I think that's what Memphis is in for. And that's what we're looking at as we get on into the overnight hours. And by early Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, that threat for freezing rain should come to an end. Temperatures still going to be cold, mid-teens to low to mid-20s, but should be primarily sleet for the coverage area. So that's a look at Futurecast. Again, just to show you, not let your guard down and be ready for whatever may come your way tonight. But I am optimistic that most of us are going to see primarily sleet, but it is just to our south and east, right there around Highway 45, along 22 in North Mississippi. That's where the better probability for the freezing rain could be in the overnight hours. Hey, Monty Williams was out in a parking lot at Walmart moments ago. I hear great music in the background right now. Let's check in with Amani, who's down in Clarksdale. Did you find one of those juke joints I was talking about?
You know, Ron, you said something about juke joints, speakeasies. I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can find one. We were driving down the road and we saw people standing outside, and we got out, we heard music, and we knew that was the place to be. I talked to the owner, and she said they say they're going to have live music every single night, and they mean it, because they still have live music tonight, even though it is snow and ice on the ground. They said they wanted to make sure that if people wanted to get out and listen to music, get out of the house, they had a place to go. And it's very cozy in here, very nice from the outdoors, and so they let us come in so we could listen to some music. Darren, he is back there moving and grooving and jamming behind the camera. I'm sure you can hear a little bit of music right now, so we could not leave Clarksdale without going somewhere where there was some music, Ron.
Well, I tell you what, the music always sounds good. And you know the thing about Clarksdale, Amani, you can't throw a stone without hitting a juke joint or a speakeasy in that town. There's some of the best blues music and also some of the best food. You get down there in the Mississippi Delta, catfish on the table, gospel in the air. I think Mark Cole wrote a song about it. He called it Walking in Memphis, but walking in Clarksdale, very similar to it. What's the mood of the people there tonight?
I mean, the people here are very just excited to be around people that want to also listen to music and want to get out the house. They are happy to be warm inside here, and they were just very welcoming. We got out of the car and they were like, hey, come on in. So it was a very upbeat mood out here tonight.
I love it. So a fun, warm place to be inside, some great music, some great food there. Is a lot of people in there? I mean, are people getting out and about there tonight?
I mean, there are about, I would say 10 people in here. I'm not sure if you can even see any of the people. They're kind of behind the wall a little bit, but you can kind of see where there is going to be some live music. Oh, Darren said he's going to walk over there so you can see. There's a few people back here in the back. They are enjoying just the company of each other, you know, just chilling out, listening to music, and about to enjoy some live music in just a few minutes. I'm going to stay over here until they start the music, and I'll probably go over there and listen to the music as well.
I love it. Well, it looks like you are in a great, comfy, cozy spot. Are you going to be coming to us from there tonight on Action News 5 to 10? Or are you going to traverse the town square, so to speak, and see what else is going on?
You know what? I'll probably go outside. We may come back inside. We may do like a little double so you can see how it is outside, how you can see it's inside. You know, just give the viewers the best of both worlds here in Clarksdale.
All right, Amani Williams, thank you so much for bringing the live reports to us tonight. It's been great watching you out there. And I got to tell you, you have done an absolutely fabulous job in bringing us just the live look
thank
of
you.
what's going on there. So stay safe, stay warm. We'll let you go for the rest of the night. I think I've got less than 30 minutes here on the digital desk. We'll see you tonight on Action News 5 at 10. So thank you very much, Amani.
All right.
So a lot going on down in Clarksdale. That ice and snow, not letting it put a damper on the fun Saturday night for a few folks. But I got to tell you, I encourage you to stay home because it is it's dangerous on the roads. And as the nighttime progresses, colder temperatures are going to settle in, and we're going to see greater issues with basically just getting around. Jacob, do we have tower? Can we access our cameras? I want to see. I would like to see our Midtown camera. I would like to see our Clark Tower camera. And I want to see, just to give people a view of what the streets are like, because even though folks down in Clarksdale were having fun and enjoying it, just a handful of people out there, I don't want to give the impression that, hey, you can go on out and just and hit the clubs and the restaurants tonight, just because, look, it is icy in everywhere, really, no matter where you are in the Mid-South. Now, the depth of that, it varies greatly, especially to our north and west. That's where we saw the higher snowfall amounts, and close to 5-6 inches up around from Humboldt up to Dyersburg. This is a live look right now of Union Avenue from our Midtown camera, 200 feet above on the tower here at our studios at 1960 Union Avenue. And really, you see only one traversable lane. Union Avenue is typically 6 lanes, 3 going east, 3 going west. But right now, there is only one traversable lane, and each way, one going north, one going east, one going west. And even still, it's icy out there, even on those cleared lanes. So that's a look from Midtown right now, where we're finding a temperature of about 17 degrees. Poplar Avenue wasn't looking much better earlier this afternoon, and I would imagine this evening, as the cold temperatures are setting in, and we've got a little drier air and even some fog starting to develop as well. Oh yeah, that was one of the things I failed to mention, was the potential for this cold fog to come in play. There could be freezing fog tonight, and that creates the potential for ice buildup on your windshield. So again, another reason to stay indoors. But check it out. This is on top of the Clark Tower, and we are looking to the, I do believe we're looking to the west, or no, that's to the east. I think we're looking to the east from that view. So, yeah, because I think that is Poplar and White Station there at the green light you're seeing. That's where it makes a little bit of a curve to the south from that view. But it is starting to get foggy. Poplar Avenue, also one of those other streets with just one passable lane for the most part in one direction and one passable lane in the other direction. I did see a train coming down the tracks earlier this afternoon. That was coming through, had no problems whatsoever. But look, if you don't have to be out, stay home. Just stay inside, ride it out. I encourage you to stay inside throughout the day tomorrow and on into tomorrow night. Schools are not going to be open on Monday. University of Memphis even, or not University of Memphis, but Oxford. Ole Miss already went ahead and canceled classes for Monday. The University of Memphis going with virtual classes for the weekend, and I think that extends into next week. As a matter of fact, I've got some info here I want to share with you. Jacob, you're still working on that interview with the city officials. You still got that coming up that we can play a little later on. I'm going to come back to you for that, but I do want everybody to know that MATA Transit Centers closed at 4 p.m. They are done for the night. Now, they'll continue to support transportation to warming centers as long as conditions remain reasonably safe for operators, but we're getting to the point now where that moment has passed, as we're starting to see now a hard freeze coming into play for the ice that is already on the ground, and those temperatures for many areas in the teens. Memphis Police Department, of course, implementing their inclement weather policy. In other words, if you have been involved in a fender bender, then no one is injured and drugs or alcohol were not involved, they encourage you to exchange information, and you have 10 days to file a police report to get for insurance purposes and what have you. But they will not respond unless to an accident, unless alcohol or drugs are involved or someone is injured. So you want to eliminate that possibility, and the best way to do it is to just stay off the streets and stay at home. DoorDash suspended their services in response to the winter weather. So DoorDash has activated the severe weather protocol, temporarily suspending operations. We don't want the DoorDash operators out there putting their lives at risk just so you can get your dinner or what have you. Hopefully you stocked up before this system moved in, as we were encouraging everyone to do. But hopefully you took that advice to heed, and you have plenty of food to get you through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. But we certainly don't want to be putting delivery people in harm's way so we can get a burger or Chinese or what have you. So just keep that in mind. I talked to a friend earlier in the week who said, "Oh, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna hunker down, watch you on TV, and DoorDash my food." And I said, that's the DoorDash aspect of that is not a good idea, because I don't think those services may not even be available. And if they are, it's kind of foolish to put somebody in that danger just to bring you a little something to eat. So DoorDash officially suspending their services. FedEx service alerts. They're alerting everybody the potential for national delays, all right? So they've activated their contingency plans to mitigate the impact of winter storms at Memphis and their Indianapolis hub. But they do anticipate the potential for delays in getting your packages where you want them to be. So just know that if you've shipped something with FedEx, there's a likelihood and a great probability it's going to be late. Because look, this storm extends all the way from the southwest on through the central plains into the deep south and well into the mid-Atlantic states, into the northeast. As a matter of fact, this very same storm system is progged to bring in a foot of snow to the city of New York. So big problems all along from D.C. to New York and all in the northeast. And then bitter cold is gripping the entire nation. So the northern tier of the U.S. with below zero temperatures. Some of the coldest air, cold weather records being set there, and cold records dropping like flies over there. So I don't think we're going to be breaking any record cold here. I got to check for tomorrow night and just to make sure, but I think the record low for tomorrow night's about 4 degrees, but I'm looking at a low of 6, so we're going to be close. But nonetheless, FedEx is, you can expect delays there. State of emergency declared in the city of Covington. Covington is taking this seriously, as we all should. Covington has implemented a curfew that went into effect tonight at 6 and remains until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. In other words, if you are in Covington, don't be out on the street. They're not playing around with this. They want everyone at home unless you are essential workers, and that includes hospital workers, first responders, and other employees who are considered essential workers. So no one should be out on the streets of Covington tonight from 6 p to 6 a. And look, that may ruffle some feathers with some, but by getting out and about in this, you risk getting injured or involved in an accident. And, you know, if you're just out just for the heck of it and you do find yourself in trouble, then first responders have to come and take care of you and save you when they could be reserving that manpower or people power to somebody who really needs it for a medical emergency or what have you. So it is a good plan. But again, curfew tonight until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, and the curfew is implemented, goes back into effect tomorrow evening from 6 p.m. Sunday to 6 a.m. Monday. So stay off the roads in Covington. State of emergency has been declared. And Dyer County getting in on it. The Dyer County Sheriff's Office investigating, not with a curfew, but someone got out and about. And unfortunately, we've got our first fatality, our first confirmed fatality of this storm. in Dyersburg. We got the notice earlier today that there was a vehicle accident at Fort Hudson near Highway 211 in Dyersburg. Happened in the early morning hours. That's when the precipitation was just beginning to fall. And that initial layer of precip really tends to make roads very slick and slippery. So as a result, there was a fatality in Dyer County and in the town of Dyersburg. So that gives you an idea of the seriousness of this situation and why you need to stay home and inside. So that's what we got going on right there. I tell you what, let me run through this one more time just to give everybody an idea of what is coming. Once again, I want to put this, I'm going to start with this, and then we'll get going from there. So here we go. Let me bring you this. I'm working live on my graphics computer as I do this, all right? So bear with me here for just a second. I'm bringing in some fresher graphics to give you a better idea of what's occurring. So just to bring everybody up to speed, I know everybody, hopefully everybody has seen this map by now. This is the winter weather warnings map. We've got a winter storm warning for Memphis, Shelby County, all of eastern Arkansas, and much of Tennessee. But you get to the east in Hardeman, McNairy County, you've got an ice storm warning in effect. That stays until 6 p.m. on Sunday. That extends well into northern Mississippi. So big problems coming into play there. And as a result of the potential for freezing rain. And that's what we want. That's another reason we want everybody off the roads and to stay home tonight. Now, there is also an extreme cold warning that goes into effect as the winter storm warnings end and the ice storm warnings end. Then we start dealing with the cold, an extreme cold warning from 6 p.m. Sunday until noon Tuesday. Yeah, noon Tuesday. We went below freezing last night. We're going to remain below freezing until Tuesday afternoon. We may barely get to it or above it. I think we're only going to hit 30. And then we're back to the teens to near 20 Tuesday night. We most likely will not get above freezing for the area until Wednesday, and only briefly at that because another shot of cold air is coming into play to follow all this. Right now, feels like it's -2 in wind. 4 is the feels like temperature in Memphis, but it feels like it's in the single digits from Helena to Tunica to Brownsville, Dyersburg, Blytheville, and low to mid-teens elsewhere. Oxford feels like it's 18 degrees right now. The actual air temperature there, 27 degrees. The actual air temperature in Memphis, 17 degrees. The coldest spot in the whole area is Wynne, Arkansas at 14, and they've got a healthy coating of snow on the ground there. Clouds and radar imagery, yeah, showing that little lull. As a matter of fact, if you've been watching our coverage last night, throughout the day today, we talked about a lull coming into play from late afternoon into the evening to around 8, 9 o'clock, but another little surge of moisture, and I say little surge, another big surge of moisture is going to come on through tonight as the low pressure system driving all of this lifts north out of the Gulf and starts to eject north and east. That is going to bring the potential for freezing rain to our eastern counties, but more importantly, into northern Alabama, middle Tennessee. They could be in for a big ice storm coming their way as this liquid precipitation with that warm air aloft really just blankets the area. But I am encouraged by the fact that I think most of us are going to be dealing with sleet here in the Action News 5 coverage area. So let's again check it out on Futurecast. It's got a good handle on the placement of precipitation, overperforming a little bit on the amount. But as we move this forward to about midnight, it looks like the better threat for freezing rain is going to be from Corinth down to around Oxford, maybe just to your west, but you're kind of right there in that range, all right? I think the majority of the area from Holly Springs to Batesville to Memphis to eastern Arkansas is going to see sleet. And even our northern counties, Dyersburg, I think you've got some pretty decent sleet coming, and it could be heavy at times. So don't be surprised if you hear tonight, late tonight, in the early morning hours of Sunday, you hear some serious sleet hitting the roof of your home or your windows. So that's what we're looking at there. And then we start to see a bit of a break, just at least in the form of freezing rain potential and snow coming into play in the morning hours and continuing to spread east up through midday into the rest of the coverage area before ejecting north and east by the later afternoon hours. Now, there could still be some snow shower activity that lingers into Sunday night, but no appreciable accumulation with that. So I think after we get through about 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be in good shape. We got Garner Montgomery again. Yeah. Is he, Garner, you're back with us? And look, it's still coming down. You seem like your coat's looking a little wetter than it was last time we talked to you. What's going on out there?
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised. It's still coming down. It's more of a wintry mix at this point. I definitely still see freezing rain, but some of these flakes are coming down a little bit slower, so it looks like there was a little bit of sleet mixed in at this point. That may change. It looks like we are seeing some slow flakes moving in, but mostly freezing rain, and it's gotten really, really slick on the ground. The ice has completely solidified on the sidewalks. I have no traction in my boots right now. See? We almost caught a hamstring injury right there.
Yeah. Garner,
but I have absolutely no traction. I can't even dig.
Oh, and your boots are wet too, man. Yeah, that's going to freeze hard tonight. Very hard tonight. Quick question. Have you seen any snowflakes there, or has it all been just freezing rain and sleet?
Absolutely no sign of snow. This has really just been a wintry mix of sleet and freezing rain throughout the afternoon, like little ice chips in the morning. I think that's what we would describe sleet at this point, but nothing in the realm of snow. Apologies for the light there. We lost a little bit, but we've got some natural light here. It's a very well lit street. We'll work with this right now.
All right. So that look, look, I tell you what, you still look good on there. So even though you lost your light, but look,
there we go.
That shot you had down on the ground, that's all ice, right? Every bit of that is ice. Predominantly sleet, though.
Yes.
Can you give us another shot of that one more time?
Let's pan back down, Than, because looks like it's all solidified. I don't see anything I can shave off the top, which we would consider sleet. This has been just I can't even dig in. This is the thickest layer I've seen so far today.
Wow. Eric and I were talking earlier about it's almost like a Zamboni going over this. You know, the initial sleet layer, you get, there is some traction to it, minimal, but once it starts to melt and then you get another layer of freezing rain on top of it, it's almost like it's just smooth ice. And I think you're confirming that for us this afternoon. What about traffic out there?
Definitely glad to see that there hasn't been a lot of traffic out here. Of course, most traffic we're seeing in this part of town is at the Waffle House. We are seeing state troopers hanging out there, some city employees hanging out there, some college students. But other than that, it's been pretty light. Just saw an Uber drive by, so if any students are out tonight, that's going to be your best bet because you're not going to want to drive yourself. But also, if you're one of those rideshare drivers, I hope you're being extra careful tonight and you've come prepared for this winter weather that we're seeing tonight and into the next week.
Well, I think things are looking a little more optimistic than things were looking earlier. But I tell you what, Garner, you are really our ground truth and eyes on the ground there because you're right there on that line. Right now, it looks like the greater probability for liquid precipitation or the heavier freezing rain is going to come in just to your east. But, man, you're right there on that transition line, and you're kind of seeing it right now with a little sleet, a little freezing rain out there. And I'm still seeing cars going around behind you. That's insane. A lot of traffic, little traffic, what?
I'd say, yeah, just a few cars out and about. Definitely not what you normally see on a Saturday night here, but definitely some people who are taking that risk thinking that they're smarter than the other drivers. But of course, if everyone thinks that they're smarter than the other drivers and safer than the other drivers, and really no one's that much safer. So even if you feel confident, it's still best to stay at home if you can.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I tell you what, that's all it takes is one foolish move from someone, and then the next thing you know, at least two people can be in trouble in a situation like that on the road. Listen, we're going to wrap it up on the digital desk here at 9 o'clock, so we're going to let you get in and warm up for an hour. But you're going to be with us tonight on Action News 5 at 10. What are you going to be talking about tonight at 10 when you come to us live from Oxford?
So I'll share the latest from the city and city officials on what they've seen so far today and what they're expecting into the overnight. Earlier, I talked with Lafayette County Emergency Management Public Information Officer Bo Moore. He talked about the potential for outages tonight. I'll have more from that ahead at 10.
All right, Garner Montgomery, great job today, buddy. Thank you very much. And to Than Clayton out there, too. Thank you for enduring all of this, bringing the great shots. Than, can Than zoom in on that sign you're standing right next to? Because I think that's really a great depiction of what we're seeing
right here.
The freezing rain. Yeah, and look at that. That is a sign, and it's encrusted. Am I right? That whole sign's encrusted with ice.
Oh, yeah. If you look on the other side, this may not be super visible on this side, but on this side, it's got a whole layer of ice and looks like it's going to keep growing. Let me try and do this just for people who I know are thinking, please, please do it. Please do it. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. Glad for my last shot at the digital desk, I got to do something fun.
That was fun indeed. Any guess on the thickness of the ice on the other side of that?
If we want to go handheld and try and get a look at this ice, I'll grab the light and make sure that's visible.
Oh, look at this. Look at these.
Here we go.
No, trees are all ice covered.
Yeah, I don't know
wow.
if you can really
wow.
get an angle at it. Because of
yeah, that's got some depth to it right there. So that's at least a quarter of an inch of ice on there. That is at least a quarter of an inch, it looks like. Now, hey,
yeah, it looks
Oxford's
like I would say quarter inch.
Be careful with that sign. Oxford's got a saying over there: "Nice to see, nice to hold, but if you break it, to you it's sold." All right. So, Than Clayton.
I don't know. I've got some connections around here. We'll see what we can do.
All right, buddy. Take care. Be safe. We'll see you tonight on Action News 5 at 10. Thank you for the great reporting tonight. Well, we are wrapping it up on the digital desk tonight. I still got a lot of questions I wasn't able to get to, but just to reiterate for everybody watching, another round coming in tonight. I think many of us could pick up an additional half inch of sleet. All right, some areas could see as much as maybe an inch of sleet. There's only going to be about an inch left of available moisture in the atmosphere to squeeze out tonight, and I'm fairly confident that the majority of that is going to fall in the form of sleet, but it could be heavy at times. I'm going to take an hour before Action News 5 at 10, go over the new data. We're getting some new forecast models coming into play. The high resolution models are in. Eric and I are going to bring you a new forecast with updated information. We'll have more specifics on timing, more specifics on potential accumulation, and precipitation type. That's the critical key. Is how much more are we going to get? And we're going to bring you those answers tonight on Action News 5 at 10. Thank you for joining us on our digital desk tonight. Thank you for joining us on Facebook, on YouTube, and the Action News 5 app. So again, if you don't have it, get it. It's free on Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and Roku. Just search for Action News 5. Download the app. And hey, you can use the app to watch Action News 5 at 5, 6, 10. Our morning show right there, and a great tool to have. And you can go back, see some of the stories we've aired from previous days. If there was a favorite story you liked, you'll find it right there on those on the Action News 5 streaming apps. And of course, you can always watch us on the Action News 5 First Alert Weather app and the Action News 5 News app. So many ways to get us now. It's a great day. The modern technology of television. Well, that's it for me. I'm meteorologist Ron Childers. Have a safe night. Stay home. And if you're getting out tomorrow to play in whatever may be on the ground, stay close to home, but make sure you bundle up because it is going to be bitterly, bitterly cold. And be careful on that ice. You don't want to break a bone. I'm Ron Childers. Have a good night.